made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're kneeling, must seem like the game was rigged from the start. Truth is, the game was an 18-carat run of bad luck.
Alright, we're on to part 3 of beating Plants vs. Zombies with only parasites. Last episode, we recruited our currently most powerful member, Daisy Chain, in its mustard gas attack, used Vampircinis as walking nanomachines to save the Wild West, and was obnoxiously assaulted by dodo bird riders in the Frostbite Caves. And moving on, we are finishing up Frostbite, but this world still has some flukes left in it that I soon found out. Day 21 was a conveyor belt mission. Okay, we're starting out strong, I see. And Day 22 introduced the Weasel Zombies, dropping a bunch of minions similar to chicken zombies, but having far fewer summons, and the Weasels having a little bit of health to them, whereas chickens are instant drops, meaning Vampircini won't really help with them that much. However, Sundew Tangler can actually assassinate them, causing them to not drop any Weasels at all when they're taken out. I don't know if this was intentional, but I'm gonna make it work for me. Day 23 was help a column of charred guards get hard, but despite what common sense would have you believe, this world was actually first tried, as there wasn't even any point, as there wasn't enough to ice to freeze my daisy chains in the back row anyway. Day 24 was another Produce Sun mission, and believe me, I tried to do this with only Sundew, but it's another one of those missions where I just don't think it's mathematically possible to do it with just Sundew, as unfortunate as that is. But all we needed to do was push ourselves out over the top was with a single Solar Sage, so whatever. Day 25 was a conveyor belt day. Holly Barrier has violated the Geneva Convention on numerous occasions. Day 26 was a rough one though, with a lot of weasel zombies and not a lot of ways to stop them. Overall, it was just a situation where I was consistently at a financial loss throughout pretty much the whole fight, and since dozens of armored zombies also joined the horde, I kept just barely falling short at the end of the day. Day 27 was Protect More Plant Hussy, this time with Rhodobagas, which I actually failed twice, the first time due to dodo bird Dios flying over to bite their genitals off, and the second time due to the final wave Gargantuar hitting the Cha-Cha slide towards the end. However, the third time I remember that because this is a defend your plants, they probably aren't going to Arctic wind freeze them, so I proceeded to just spam Daisy Chain again. Day 28, I pulled a Boom Beach because I didn't come with a plan, so I left in defeat. Second try, I did come with a plan, but they still boomed all over my beach. So third time around, I just got annoyed and had just Enchantment join us to help with the few stragglers towards the end. To be honest, from here I should probably just consistently take it with us permanently, considering it's not that OP when it comes to being combined with anything, and we still count it as a parasite. Day 29, Survive with the Gibbon Plants. Dodo Bird Rider was responsible for lobbying against a bill that banned the usage of artificial intelligence denying health insurance claims. He's not even a shareholder either, he just knew it would destroy people. And Day 30, Dr. Zomboss dons his elephant fursuit and sprays this white fluid all over himself while lecturing me about how tough he is, and just like that we were done with Frostbite Caves.
Trying to make this entire generation of boys hard. I actually have a coaching program.
You have been told not to discuss.
And moving on to the Lost City, finally competent sun production for a time, but our problems were far from over. Though, the first 3 or so days went as predictably as you would expect, with no significant issue for us at all. Though, that doesn't last too long, as on day 4 we were already introduced to the Excavator zombie, who is fast and immune to full frontal damage, meaning Daisy Chain's main attack has no effect on him. However, we can still take him out with Spore Shrooms and Sundew Tanglers, and that's what we did, even utilizing my free Spore Shroom tactic to turn them against each other. Day 5, we don't talk about what happened on Day 5. Day 6 and 7 were more or less of me starting to put together a strategy now, with Umbrella Zombies and Excavators working in tandem, making it very difficult to deal with them, as one blocks Daisy Chain and the other blocks Spore Shroom. However, neither of them can touch Sundew Tangler, which lets me reliably get rid of one of them, leaving the other one openly vulnerable to an attack. It was going pretty well so far, but that likely wasn't going to last. Day 8, pre-picked plants. Everyone pretend I just gave some extremely depressing news here, and then timestamp it in the comments. Day 10 went expectedly with me just planting Sundew Tangler on all the outer tiles, making them actually competent producers this way, and getting through the day pretty easily. Day 11 was the exact opposite in regards to the sun tiles, with me planting daisy chains on them instead, once again just leaving it to a Crayon Muncher level solution. Day 12 produced 5,000 sun, but there's tons of sun tiles here, and with my Sundew Tangler, we were actually able to get this first try, and with the help of Solar Sage, even with the Gargs at the end. Day 13 and 14 were both stupid, non-counting pre-picked plants and or conveyor belt butthead missions. Click here to add title. Day 15, we were to protect some Akis at the top and bottom row, but since they're more competent shooters than Spore Shrooms, they ended up being more of a help to us than anything, and we got through the whole situation relatively quickly. Day 16 was the ultimate battle day, blah blah poo poo fart butt. Day 17 introduced the Tent Imps, and these are, I think, the first zombie in the entire series so far that can actually harm Sundew Tangler. Since they can't attack Sundew Tangler normally, they just ignore them as soon as they are let go, and they pitch their tents on top of the tile anyways, which also happens to destroy the Sundew Tangler in the process. Not the end of the world or anything, but still something we have to worry about now. I kinda dig it though. However, what I don't dig is the inability to place Tomb Tangler on top of them. Dude, I've seen other people do it, why can't I? Day 18, Conveyor Belt Mission. Highway Star is unironically one of the most well-rounded stands in JoJo. Day 19 was a pretty generic day, with the only caveat being that they were trying to sell me on Stalia, but since Daisy Chain releases mustard gas every few seconds, which is basically slightly better Stalia, it's not happening. Day 20, the Giant Z Day, I was originally going to plant a bunch of Sundews on all the tiles, but the first parachute rain and me missing one of the zombies made me so angry that I restarted the whole mission. But after that, we busted out the mustard gas and the rest is World War I history. Day 21 isn't even real, Day 21 literally doesn't exist, just like the bodies in the water. Day 22, however, I do recognize the bodies in the water, but I also approve of them being there, thus I will not go inside to assist them. Day 23 was one of the closest days I got first try, with me losing over half my lawnmowers and barely scraping out against the Gargantuars at the very end. Though the real danger was the zombies that were being airdropped over everything by all of these gorgeous dragonflies. Day 24 was Don't Trample the Flowers, which I lost 3 times all because of these freaking Tomb Raider rope-swinging zombies. They are significantly higher health than their pirate variants, and they land right next to the flowers, allowing them to walk right over it. The solution ironically ended up being Vampircini yet again, as even though they're pretty useless in all other circumstances, they were also the only plant in our arsenal that can stall the Tomb Raiders long enough due to their high health.
You stupid You're blocking my escape.
Day 25, literally nothing of significance occurred, with the entire day just being a pretty simple defense day where we faced no issue. And day 26 went roughly the same, with the caveat being that there was only one sun tile this time around. But once again, there just wasn't that much resistance. Zomba should really consider capital executions for his more incompetent generals. Day 27 introduced the Crystal Skull Death Laser zombies, who are more than capable of vaporizing several of my plants at once, though with once again the exception being Sundew Tangler. Let that set in that a Death Laser can't destroy Sun Tangler, but a tent can. Day 28 was a government psyop to convince you to purchase a comical amount of useless gemstones. Day 29 was a little bit of everything, but I had a bit of Daisy Chain and Sundew Tangler, and even though it was pretty close, I still just barely was able to inch out a win on the first try. And day 30, oh my god, day 30. You remember how earlier I mentioned the Tomb Raider zombies and how they swing in on ropes and vines, and they were problematic for a trample flower day? Well, this day has significantly more of them, and on top of that, the back 3 columns have nothing but mold colonies, and I have no way of attacking the Tomb Raiders as soon as they get back there. Vampircini can really only stall them, and Sundew Tangler can take them out, but there's far too many of them for a single Sundew Tangler to deal with, also with only a few tiles of grace. But I saw only one way I was going to get past this without resorting to Solar Sage, and that was with enchantment again. Making it through using it to turn any of the zombies that actually do make it past the mold, which is quite a few, allowing me to barely inch past the last wave. However, this enchantment turn is entirely based around luck in regards to hitting the right zombies, causing them to turn, and knowing me and my luck,
I guess you could call me a bad luck charm.
But I already had the concept that this was indeed possible down, so I just kept throwing enchantments at the last wave, hoping that it would save me. I even managed to save the acquired plant food I got through the waves, so I could throw it all into refreshing enchantment at the final waves, pushing me over the edge, though ironically the final success was actually me just barely making it to the final wave, with most of my lawnmowers intact, causing me to kind of just win by default. Whatever, it's done. Day 31, survive with the given plants, I don't even have a joke for this one. And day 32, Zomboss shows up, so we both compare sizes in the bathroom, and just like that, we're done with Lost City. And now we're on to Far Future, the world with pre-installed power tiles. So naturally, since Daisy Chain's ultimate isn't that good, we were going to usually try and probably get Spore Shrooms on all these tiles as fast as possible, since they're the only ones with powerful damage attacks for them, or even Sundew Tanglers to generate capital. And Far Future does have a few humps we will have to worry about too with their all-powerful mechs, coming as early as the second day, as well as having the best all-around imps of any world. We were going to need to remain diligent and prioritize Spore Shroom even more than we did in the last world because of it. On day 4, we had sun bombs, but in all honesty, this kind of just assists us, considering our current sun production is pretty low anyways, as long as we wait long enough before activating them. Day 5, we already have the Cone Mechs, which is heavy armor, so our main way of dealing with them will be Daisy Chains and combining it with Spore Shroom's plant food. Day 6, she repick on my plants till I survive with only. Day 7 was a carbon copy of Day 5, like down to the letter with how similar it was. Like, literally I noticed zero change. Day 8 was the Ultimate Battle World. Dude, I miss the Ultimate Battle music for Plants vs. Zombies 2 so much. Day 9 was never have more than 15 plants, which translates to plant nothing but Daisy Chain. Yeah, you can probably guess how this day went. Day 10 introduced yet another mech, which we attempt to counter with the Spore Shroom Horde, but it was really Daisy Chain's mustard gas attacks that won the hearts of the people. Day 11 was a plan your defense. I predicted no issues with it, and I also successfully rolled a cauliflower, so I figured I'd just use it here so I could put it in the thumbnails again, and it completed the day in probably world record pace. Day 12 introduced the Gargantuar mechs, and this isn't even the last of their mechs either, with us once again barely inching out a win towards the end, due to nothing more than Daisy Chain's mustard gas onslaught. Day 13 introduced the worst mech of all, who pushes plants down the line until it successfully pushes it off the edge, and because this, it is an extreme danger to any plant. That isn't Sundew Tangler, because once again for some reason Sundew Tangler is the physical embodiment of all immortality. Day 14 spend no more than 1,500 sun, so that translates to... Daisy, Daisy. Day 15, protect the endangered plants, which was 3 citrons right in front of the zombies. Surprisingly, I was able to first try this mission just with having Daisy Chains behind them in the back lane, stun stalling while also spamming the citron's ultimate abilities whenever the baddies came near. Day 16 was a conveyor belt mission, Day 17 was a pre-picked mission, and I still can't believe it's not butter. Day 18 was a produce 6,000 sun, and once again I tried it using Sundew Tangler, but once again it just can't be done. Even with the power tiles, it's still just not enough to get all the sun we need. Even with Solar Sage, this day is still barely doable. It's just the sun requirement is so violently tanking here, and there's just no way around it. Day 19 is Sun Bombs, which means we skip Sundew Tangler and go straight to Daisy Chain Spore Shroom, and the world is done before we know it. Day 20, protect a column of Starfruit. I don't remember if I struggled on this one with Summoner's playthrough, but Daisy Chain definitely renders threats of imps both trying to rush past the mowers and the zombie mechs eating the fruits to be fairly irrelevant. Day 21, produce 5,000 sun, and don't have more than 16 plants. I originally just Daisy Chained this once again, but then I forgot that I also needed to make the sun.
There, I can't remember me.
We already did this in the Summoner's playthrough. We just used Solar Sage on the zombies and absolutely spam it, and within a few minutes we have the whole sun requirement down. Day 22, plan your defense, and they give me exactly 2,250 sun, which directly translates to 3 columns of Daisy. But yeah, Daisy Chain level 3 and 3 rows of them is more than competent damage to put the mechs in their place over time. Day 23, never have more than 15 plants and 2,250 sun. I wonder what plant in my arsenal would perfectly fit 3 columns to do Daisy. Day 24 was Sun Bomba again, which gave me plenty of money to deal with the overwhelming force of mechanoids Randy Random decided to send at me, but overall it wasn't that close of a fight with all my forces working in tandem, but after that I was done with Far Future since the only thing left to do now was throw a spear into Dr. Zomboss's mech. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please leave me a comment down below telling me what you enjoyed as well as what you would like to see next, both Plants vs. Zombies and otherwise. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing as I upload new long-form content every week, as well as new shorts every single day encapsulating variety content, including challenges, guides, memes, audience participation, playthroughs, and even theories. Also, consider joining the Discord with the link in the description, as well as pinned comment to become part of the show. But with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.